Hello YouTubers, this is a quick repair video on a Aquabot Turbo T4RC. It's my neighbor's and it was just spinning in the pool in one direction, so I plugged it in and pulled it out of the water, flipped it upside down, and well, you don't even have to flip it upside down. You can tell which track is moving and which one isn't. That's an indication that one of the motors is bad. Potentially the master could be bad. It drives the slave motor. But this slave motor in particular was full of water. So it's just shot. They're not supposed to have any water in them. They're sealed units. So I'm just going to replace the slave and hope for the best. But just a quick explanation. The motor that came out has a part number on it. And the motor they sent me came with a little sticker so I could add the part number. But I think in all my research, green is slave and blue is your master. As far as taking it apart, you've got a couple of snap rings here, and that's the most complex thing if you don't have a snap ring pliers, but those come off, then everything starts to disassemble. I recommend just disassembling one side so you have some sort of reference to what you've taken apart. But in the meantime, take pictures and pay attention to what you've got, because there's shims and certain parts that certainly have to go back in the right order. One of the things the techs told me is when you put it back together, make sure pay attention to where your wires are. Your wires have to be in such a position that it doesn't interfere with the filter basket going back in. When I took the motor out, it took a little bit of effort to get the connector apart because they put silicone on it. So you're going to put a little dab of silicone around that edge there and dress that up, and then you're going to tighten it down with a pair of pliers, or snug it up with a pair of pliers. I had to remove it with a pair of pliers. Obviously the silicone held it together, but once you broke the seal, it was great. The other item is the shrink tubing. Shrink tubing, it's flexible. It's still pretty flexible on there once you shrink it. But take a razor blade, slice it, peel it open, and that'll help you to get your connection apart. If you're not familiar with shrink tubing, you're going to heat this up with a heat gun or very carefully with a torch. A blowtorch on a very, very low setting, and pay attention to what you're doing. You don't want to melt anything that doesn't need to be melted, but this with heat will shrink up and form a seal around your connectors and help it to stay together. And I'm going to reassemble it and put it back in my neighbor's pool, and hopefully all will be good. The motor is about 300 bucks. I don't know what they charge to repair these things. His last repair bill was about 700. I think they put in 2 motors and they gave him a new cord. And okay guys, this is a follow-up to this finished up project here. The slave motor, I took the whole drive assembly off on this side. Doesn't need to come off. There's two screw holes right here and right here. Just put your screwdriver in there and the motor will come out. The cage will have to come out. I've already reinstalled everything. These tubes are zip tied in place. Cut the zip ties, feed the tubes out. I will zip tie these back in place when I'm done. Basically, you get 2 little tabs under here, one here and one here, and this cage will come right out. Once the cage is out, you can access the motor and the wiring and everything else that I showed previously. But just a side note, this does not have to come off. I spent a half hour screwing around with that I didn't need to. So I hope this helps and saves you some money. Bye.